Welcome back, my friends, to the trip that never ends. Welcome back, my friends. Step inside, step inside.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adrian from the Peace Genesis Project, and this is Josh. Josh is the channel for SOTU, who we've been working with for approximately 35 years.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye. She's got a plan, we can tell.
Well, I realize we've been putting out videos that are very short pieces of what you,
Yes. So does that have to do with the short attention span of people?
well, perhaps, but this might be a longer piece that we break into shorter pieces, so you just never know.
Well, you'd like to do that, wouldn't you?
But throughout the time, there's been an overriding theme in your work with us,
Really? Hmm.
several,
When did you figure that out?
just yesterday.
Well, we've been working for 35 years here, so.
And that has to do with the divine imperative that,
Well, we have been repeating that statement for a long time now, haven't we? And have any of you ever figured out that there is a dynamic of an underlying divine imperative that's going on as a reflection in your world? Very few of you take the time, or they have the perspective, or have the objectivity and the discernment to be able to look at the dynamics of what is going on in your world and be able to understand that there is a movement going on here that is beyond the normal consciousness, subconsciousness, and unconsciousness of humanity. That in fact there is in a way, a script, but not a script that you have to adhere to strictly, but a general outline, a general suggestion, let us say,
mm,
as to the whole dynamics of what is going on. And every once in a while, the divine needs to bite you in the ass in order to get your attention. Now, it's not going to, the divine is not going to create a dynamic of an instant catastrophe because of that, so many of you are going to be, wiped out in a moment. And so, because that's just a dynamic of raising fear around the future. But in fact, the truth is that the future is as many positive and as many golden possibilities as it does negative. And the choices that are being made right now, if you look at things that have occurred in your world, how far back do you wish us to go? The most in the modern age, you can go back primarily to the last 25 years, 25, 26 years, and trace the dynamic of energy that is occurring right now that is being asked of you. And within those dynamics of energy, there has been prime examples of divine imperative, things that would happen in a moment or in an instant that would change the whole direction of your, what shall we say, your consensus opinion.
for instance, the things that have happened during that time, certainly pivotal changes within the world.
Well, just look at the dynamics of what the most recent one that can easily be picked on, and it is the dynamic of the current president getting shot in the ear,
Mhm.
and that a simple millimeter closer would could have blown his brains out. As far as that dynamic goes, so do you not think that that is a an example of divine intervention?
Well, that's divine, and yes, to me, that's clearly divine intervention.
And things, the same things that apply on a consensus basis also applies on a personal basis. when you have dynamics of personal realities, that you have the opportunity of changing your behavior? Does the dynamics of those behaviors change, allow for a complete and absolute change, or does your reality often asks you, after you've made that change, are you sure that you really wish to make this change? And so reality would, reflect a certain dynamic of a challenge, often giving you an opportunity to do it the old way, giving you an opportunity at the same time to make a different choice. If you make that different choice, you're saying you're affirming to your reality, you're affirming to your subconscious that, yes, I do really wish to make this change. If you give an ambiguous response or vacillate within the dynamics of what you believe, then your reality is going to reflect that dynamic. So, you know, if you were pure in the dynamics of the way you answered karmic questions in your life, there would be no necessity for are you sures. And probably when those of you that are going fifth are moving more into a telepathic situation, that will become a moot point.
Karmic situations.
All situations.
All right. All right.
If you are engaged in a physical lifetime, how can you not be engaged in a karmic journey?
Well, that is a question. If
Well, if you were not engaged in a karmic journey, none of you would have any problems, would you?
so, is there a reality out there where we grow without having to have problems?
No.
So,
You're in this one. So many people say they talk about the parallel realities and all of that. Well, you're not going to find a parallel reality if this is the one that you're in and this is where your karmic debt is to be paid. Hmm.
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 All right. In many of the earlier years, you didn't speak to us about karma. It's only come up recently in the last year or two.
Because it is a dynamic of why beat people over the head with dynamics of energy that are obvious if they just step back and look at their reality. Everything that is within the dynamics of your physical incarnation is karmic in nature.
So when we move for
Unless
those,
this is your first lifetime.
probably not for
No,
most.
most. We have said often, and even though we are not going to get into quibbling about the dynamics of old souls, young souls, and all of that stuff, from our perspective, all of the souls of humanity entered the physical reality together.
Right. So there aren't any that are older or younger.
No, there's only the different choices of experience
Right.
that the souls have chosen to have.
Right. So the divine imperative, which in a way we're talking on the large scale of the consensus, but it also comes down to the personal.
Well, of course it does. How can it be separate?
Right. So are you sures are asking us if we truly wish to grow, because is that
Are you sures are a sign of growth? Are you sures are a sign that you have made a choice or you have an option in front of you to be more than you were in the last moment? And so if you take that opportunity to be more, and you have given you, for example, if you want to have more love in your life, but you have been afraid of love and you've given ambiguous messages to your reality around whether you want love or you don't want love or you want love or you don't want love and this one's good enough and that one's not and all of this and all of the yama yama and
Hmm.
BS that comes along with those kinds of choices. Your subconscious knows that you've been all over the map
Hmm.
with the dynamic. But now you meet someone and you say, "Oh, I'm in love, and it's love, and it's going to be forever," and all of that. And the minute that you say that, within a very short time after, your reality is going to give you an opportunity to remember the old nasty stuff. Why? Because it's going to ask you if you're sure that you really wish to commit to love. It's not that hard to figure it out. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So, so if you have a dynamic of ambiguousness in the dynamics of the choices that you made, you're going to get an ambiguous response from your reality because your reality really wishes to know that you really wish to make the new change. Your subconscious, if you really want to break it down into that way, really wishes to know that you are ready to make the change, that you are ready to become more than you were just a moment ago.
So the purpose of our journey at this point, if I look from the lens we've been using, the purpose of the journey for all of us, for the consensus for humanity, is to move towards peace, but yet it's made up of all these choices that
It's a whole
people,
dynamic. You can't really say that. You can say that humanity is moving toward a place where it is being given the opportunity to choose peace, where it's being given to where you are also being the opportunity to go in the other direction and to destroy yourselves. So, you have the dynamics of both ends of a paradox, do you not?
which means there's a third position, a
Well, we'll
third
get
way of,
into that sometimes. Sometimes that's a little too much for a 15 or 20-minute video.
well, I do like to tie it back to peace because that is the auspices that we are presenting
Well, the whole
this
dynamic
information
of
through.
peace, and this is the one question that we will ask each and every one of you. Can you get your personal bullshit out of the way in order to be able to work for honest peace? Can you begin to create a new peace movement, a new dynamic of peace that's built upon fairness, that is built upon enough for all? You do know that there is so much wealth in your world that there is more than enough for everyone, that there is a whole dynamic of energy that, are you going to force the reality of your life where everything crashes and burns so that you don't have to deal with money anymore? Or are you going to use your intelligence, use your wisdom, use your experience to create something outside of the box that will assure that at least the survival needs of every human on the planet, but on the very most to basically create a paradise on Earth where you don't have to quote unquote earn a living, where just by the fact that you are human, just by the fact that you recognize yours and each other's divinity, that you give each other the respect and love and understanding. And from that place, anything becomes possible. And, so many of you say, oh, no, but I have to have competition. I have to fight. I have to all of that. Well, yeah, it's only because you have not been able to conceive of a different reality because you're so locked into this Darwinian principle of survival of the fittest.
Yes.
Shut her up again.
Well, we've gone back and forth between the personal and the larger picture, but
Because
both,
how can you not?
how can we not? And is
But
there,
again, it's do you allow your personal stuff to get in the way of the bigger movement? I mean, do you really have to heal every little bit of yourself in order to work for peace?
important to know?
We will be coming out with what shall we say, a couple of presentations. That's what we'll call them. A couple of presentations over the next couple of months that will give you more of an explanation of what shall we say, the details of this thing, because it is very detail oriented, but at the very same time is very natural. You don't have to look too far in your heart to find these answers.
So it is simply a choice then for someone to
Isn't it all simply a choice?
be past personal stuff to be able to step out of it?
Well, we would say to you, what are you spending your time on? And you usually, so many of you are so self-directed that you just turn everything in on yourselves and you just find yourself in behavioral tape loops where you're repeating the same very similar dynamics over and over again. You can measure your own expansion of consciousness. Each of you knows. If you're awake. And if you're not, you're not. And the problem is, for most of you that are awake, you are trying to bring so many others along with you. And yet, at the very same time, there are so many others that have their heads so far in Uranus that it will never see the solar system again.
Right. You like being cute.
We are cute
Yes.
for an old fart.
Well, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. Uh, everything's possible, and we do live in a physical reality that is governed by certain physical rules.
And do you really wish to live forever? Really? Really?
No,
Really? Really? This is the incarnation you would choose to live forever in?
maybe not.
Maybe not, huh?
Maybe not.
Well, if you didn't have just a fear of death,
No fear of loss.
but it's not, there is no loss. You see, that's what you don't understand. There is no loss. The loss is in coming here. The loss is having your energy become so dense as to be physical. Doesn't change what your soul is or who your soul is. We'll get into it at some point if the right questions are asked.
Right.
Is that it?
I've run out of questions for the moment.
Well, let's just say that there is so much chaos going on in your world right now. The biggest thing that you can do is ignore it. Believe it or not, step back out of it, take some time for yourself, find some silence, go inside, relax, turn off all of those bells and whistles that say that you're not good enough. Realize that find your divinity, find that spark of the divine within you. Just spend some time in nature, spend some time in quiet, spend some time looking for the other way. We are so too. We love you all so very, very much. And so until the next time, we close, sending you peace, sending you happiness, sending you joy.